Hi, welcome back to another Clip Studio Paint tutorial where we're going to learn how to draw trees and forests. For the first example, I thought I should show a previous piece that I had made, and it's actually a pine forest, and in the center is a dead tree. So an easy way to go about this is rather simplifying it by shapes, because the most common shape that we see in this is actually triangles, and you can see it in my draft. I simplified all the pine trees into little triangles that I could discern into pine trees and make it much more easier to make when I go down into the final draft. For example, you could take all of these triangles and then convert them into the color that they are here, green, and then move on to shading, and then add little details like the strands that we see here for each individual leaf. But I will get into that in just a second. Before moving on, I wanted to mention that Clip Studio already has a preset for trees. For example, it's under the decoration icon and under background in the sets. It's called trees and they look like this. I thought I should mention it because it's a pretty easy and time-saving way to draw trees, especially for drawings or just comics in general. It helps you with the backgrounds. It really does simplify them, and it saves you a lot of time and a lot of stress, just in case you were wondering about that. And there's also pens available in the Clip Studio asset store where you could get pens that provide you with trees. You could either pay for them or get them for free depending on the packet that you're trying to get. It is all depending on how you're going to do this, because let's say this is going to be in the back. Let's say you're making a manga and it's pretty in the back, like you're going to have to use a telescope to see it in the background. Let's say there's your character up front and the tree is back here. Okay, the focal point is going to be your character. Most readers aren't paying attention to the background, but rather your character. So you don't have to stress it too bad about your backgrounds. Like I said, you could just simply do with one of these, and you could get a simple branch. Alright, so let's put our stick, and let's do that. And rather silly branch, but it gets it done, right? And you know where all the leaves are stemming from because they can connect the dots. Pretty simple. But it also depends on what type of tree you want. If you want vines here and there. Something like this. It's all super simple, and I can encourage artists, like if you are a line art artist, I encourage you to try using just one brush and using the shapes of the brush, because it really helps you identify how you want this to look like in the long run. Sorry. All right, so let me explain myself. So let's say the leaf. All I did was increase the size of my brush, and I did an upside down heart. So then if you were a line art artist, you would have to, let's say, shrink this and then go like that, and then wonder, is that the shape that you really want? However, if you increase the size of your pen, you can then shape it to whatever size you want. So now we have a little weird heart, or we have it like this. It's starting to take shape, or we can start cutting into the leaf and make it look just a tad bit more tropical and different. So I would recommend heavily, very heavily, to try using one brush but then increase the size and mess around with the shape before moving on to line art, because it can help you tremendously with shapes and how you want things to roll out. Another thing that I can encourage is colors. Colors. Knowing how your viewer depicts it. For example, we all know that most trees are brown trunk and green leaves for the upper part. Okay, so that doesn't mean you have to stress it too bad, because you and they know how trees look like and how greens look like. So don't stress it too bad. It's just a matter of knowing what colors complement each other. So that is another lesson for another time, but that's color theory. It's very fun and interesting. However, you'll also have to know atmosphere. Atmosphere helps tremendously, because let's say we're going to draw this tree over here, the very dried and like kind of scary looking tree. We're going to go for sharper shapes, and this one was messing around with the lines a lot. For example, if this were just a straight line, it wouldn't have the same effect as what it has right now. Like, yeah, it looks a little scary, but why does it look scary? So when you're going around to mess with your trees, you're going to do this. It's a little distorting the shape overall and how it moves like this, because that changes it. If it were just a simple tree that went, I am going to curve and I am one with the wind. See how this type of tree, the one I'm drawing right now, would differ from the one that is on the left? It heavily contrasts because it's two different atmospheres. So it's not just about knowing how to draw trees, it's about knowing what you're going for. If you're going for scary, it's going to be sharper and a little scarier with different tones. But if you're going for a more calm atmosphere, I would argue go for rounder trees, ones that don't look as menacing, don't look as dried up or dead, and your colors have to be on point. But again, your readers or your viewers will know what a tree is. But of course, that doesn't mean go ahead and do the circle with one line. As a matter of fact, I believe you can, as long as you do this. They'll know that's a tree. Why do they know that's a tree? Because it's a brown trunk and a green top. Hi, this is editor Toby, and I just wanted to step in and say this is a reference to the original note that I had made about your readers and you knowing how a tree looks like, because that has to do with colors and shapes. For example, you were capable of telling that was a tree because one, the leaves were a circle and the stem or trunk of the tree is a rectangle. So you were able to differentiate that that was a tree, and secondly, because of the colors itself. It's all about knowing and referencing what you and your audience already knows. So it's not too hard, don't worry about it, it's just a matter of knowing how to present what you already know. We're going to do, just for this sake, I'm going to use this one, because I think it might be a little bit easier. Let's go with an egg shape. Okay, and that is our leaves. It's a bit brighter, but it's better to be noticeable. And it really does match the type of style that we're going for. Okay, we're going to shrink it up just a tad bit. And now we're going to add texture that the leaves are engulfing the trunk. Okay, so that's our trunk. And now we're going to add details to our leaves. It's not a perfect egg because it has leaves protruding. That was a little weird leaf. Okay, now that that's in, we're going to do this. We're going to go towards the blue. And we're going to shade it. Let me get a thinner one. Actually, let me take care of the shading first. Once again, that's a clip layer, so then it could be easier to do. And the lighting is from the same place. Now we're going to add a little bit of texture in our shading. Let me go for a brighter green. Okay. Whoops. Okay. I was trying to see if I could make some bark there, but I think I prefer without it. Yeah, without it. Okay, and there you go. An egg-shaped tree. Okay, and for the very last one, I thought I should cover how to make the tree bark. So I already started off with the shape or the general idea of how the tree is going to look. So we're going to erase it a little bit. So we're going to do a little lower. I feel like the tree bark is a little bit more easier to do compared to the leaves, because it's just a matter of the strands. And there we go. Now we have a very dramatic tree. However, one thing I wanted to add, just to make it a bit more dramatic. A bit more of the line. Okay, and here we are, a dramatic dry tree. So basically what I did was start off with a base and then erase off to make it into the shape that I wanted to be, like what it is now. And then you just shade in the lines. Think of the bark more like you're doing a bunch of strange O's, kind of. Or more like a tiger's pattern, I would argue, because the way it's going is... Let me see if I can... Okay. So the way I did it is literally just this. And then the reason why it looks the way it does is because those lines are divided between light and then dark. So then that's why it looks the way it does. And this can be applied with not just the G pen with pen pressure. For example, it like fades in, or the one without. You could do it with either or. It'll work out just as fine. The only thing I would say is know your direction of where the bark is going, because you can't go like this, at least not typically for this type of tree. I believe for birch you might be able to, but they're very small like that. Another thing is, if it has like an owl's burrow, I believe it's called, like it's like this, then the lines will go around it like this. And it looks a lot more drier, depending on if you're trying to make a spooky feeling or a more welcoming feeling. It really does depend. But I hope that has helped. And that has been all for this tutorial. I hope it has helped you. This was an entry for February's month tips, and the theme was trees and forests. I hope it really has helped you, and if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. I'd be more than happy to help you out the best I can. But anyway, that is all. Thank you.